Hey everybody, my name is David Slippelberg, and I'm the head of the training department for PracticePanther.com. And today we're going to be covering anything and everything having to deal with time entries. So to start off, all we're going to do is hop into our settings page right over here, and we're actually going to start by adjusting our personal hourly rate. This is going to be the default hourly rate that you want to populate for all your time entries or for most of your time entries. So I have it set for $100 an hour. So when I make my first time entry, it's going to show that hourly rate automatically associated with it. Also, over here, you can round your time entries as well, where you can actually go ahead and set it to be up or down. So if you want it to round up or down to the nearest whatever fraction you want. By the way, 0.1, I know most lawyers actually bill on a 6-minute increment. And so 0.1 would be the number you want to place here for that to occur. Whenever you're satisfied with everything, just go down and hit save on the bottom. Now you're also going to want to go ahead and if you have additional users, set their hourly rates as well. To do this, just hit more on the top and go down to users like this. Find the user you want to change. So I'm going to change Thomas Jefferson. I'm going to hit edit over his name. And right here, you'll be able to set his default hourly rate, his or her default hourly rate, and also decide if you want their time entries to be rounded as well or not. So you have that choice all right there. Let me go ahead and hit save on that. This is actually going to be the user's page right here. It gives you a quick summary of some things going on. You can see this user's hours today, this week, and kind of get a peek at their dashboard in a sense. And you can even click on the time entries tab here to see all of his time entries. At the moment, Thomas here doesn't have any. He's been slacking a little bit, but not to worry. Next up, I'm going to show you how to set up your billable items. This can be found under the More button as well, and we're going to scroll down here to the Items button. These items are essentially the time entry titles that you would like to give all of your work. We start you off with quite a bit of items to begin with, but you can adjust any of them just by hovering over them and hitting edit, deleting them, or on the top right, you can actually create a new item. Now, one item in particular that I want to point out, actually don't think I have it, so that's perfect. I'm going to make a new item, and I suggest everyone do this as well on their own side. Follow along with me. Make one called No Charge. This is an excellent item to go ahead and use to make sure that that particular time entry doesn't charge your client. And the way we're doing this is we can actually set up a couple of things when we're setting up items. One is the description. So if you want to have a specific description populate into your time entry, when you select a certain item, you can actually edit that item and enter in the description here. Also, add a certain price that you want this item or this work to be worth. This is if you are working on an item price basis, or you just simply want to charge for exactly what you're doing, not necessarily have a default rate. If you want this price to overwrite your default hourly rate on the time entry, we want to make sure that this option is marked yes. That way, no matter what the particular status or matter rate is selected, when this item is picked on a time entry, this price will always overwrite whatever hourly rate is there. So as you can see, we were making a no charge item worth $0. So when we pick the no charge item, it'll not charge the client at all. But let's say I wanted to make another item and charge $150 an hour for it. I could go ahead and make the price here $150, and again, make sure this rate option is turned to yes. But for right now, I'm just gonna hit 0, hit save. And I just created a no charge item that I'll be able to select when I'm making my time entries later on. Next up, I'm gonna create a new matter so I can show you some of the billing types that we have to deal with hourly rates. So I'm going to go ahead and pick myself as the contact, and the matter name here will be David's time entries. Moving on down, you have your billing section. So this is where you're going to get a little bit more control over the types of hourly rates that can be applied to your time entries. So default will always be user default rate, which is literally just going to pull the rate out of your settings page that we had set up just a few minutes ago. Matter custom rate is amazing if you have certain clients that you want to give a different charge for. So maybe you either want to give them a discount or increase the price on this particular case because of the workload that it entails or anything else. Maybe it's a family friend and you want to give them a discount. You can pick Matter Custom Rate and then click the blue link under it, hitting Add Custom Rate. And you get to decide if you want everyone that's working on this case to have this particular rate. If you want to make a rate by user, so David is going to have a $150 rate while Thomas is going to have a $75 rate. You can pick that per user right here as well. Or you can even do it based on the specific security role. So I want all partners on this case to charge $200, or I want all paralegals to charge $40 an hour. So you can have that kind of control as well. If I pick for everyone, let's say, I can make this specific matter worth, let's say, $50 an hour instead of my usual $100. Now, the other option, I'm not going to select it, but the other option is flat rate. That's if you have a one lump sum that you are charging them up front and you do not want to charge them by hour. Now, you'll still be able to record time entries. It's not going to stop you at all, but it will simply make it so that all the time entries hourly rates default hourly rate is now $0. So you're not charging on top of that flat rate. Now, you will be able to still select those items that we saw earlier if you want to have special item prices, even in those flat rate cases. And you'll still be able to manually add or adjust the hourly rate by time entry if you still want to, again, charge them for time in addition to the flat rate that you're charging them already. But we will not add an additional hourly rate by default for flat rate cases so that you can at least keep track of all your time and still show your client the work that you're doing without necessarily charging them for it. Now, I will go ahead and stay with my Matter custom rate. We're going to do the $50 an hour option here. And then scroll down and hit save. And the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and show you is literally creating one time entry from within the Matter here, which you can do a couple of ways. You can either hit the white new button up here, which if you do the time entry this way, since the white new button is sitting outside, it doesn't really know who we're talking about. So you'd have to go ahead and select which client and which matter you want to charge this time for, bill this time for. But if we're already in the Matter, we can either hit the time entries tab here and hit the green new time entry button right there, or hit the green new button and select time entry this way. There's more than one way to do a lot of things on here, so you get to kind of find whichever way is most comfortable for you. I'm going to hit this way. And the difference between the green button and that white button is because the green new button is sitting inside of the content and Matter, it already knows exactly who we're referring to. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select my item. Again, this is your way of controlling the name of the time entry. So we can see down there that the hourly rate is $50. So just to show an example, I will select my no charge item and say it's 2 hours. And in the description, you do want to be very careful what you write here, as it does appear on the invoice for your client to see. So, you don't want to say anything too funny, but we want to be realistic to what you did. So I spoke with client on the phone about their case. We also have this timer right here in case you want to add time to the existing time. Or you can always, like I did here, simply type in any number. It's going to default it to hours. But if you're not that great at math like I'm not, you can also type in something like 45M, and it'll be smart enough to pick that up and convert it into the correct amount of time for you. Next down here, billable, yes or no. So you want to decide if you want to place this time entry physically on the Matter or not. So we're going to say no or yes. It's up to you. And then go on down here, and the hourly rate, as we see, $0, because we did have it overwrite based on the no charge item up here. Total $0, and save. So this is where all the time entries are actually get recorded here in the Matter in the time entries tab. And one cool thing you can do is actually hover over the existing time entries here. And if you ever started working again on that particular item, you can actually hit the little play button to restart that timer on the side right away. So I'm going to update my notes here. Client called back asking more questions. It was very annoying. Just kidding. And we're going to save it again. It's going to reopen the time entry for us to save and override the last one. And there we go. Got some more notes here and a little bit more added billable time. Sometimes when you are having a really busy day, you're going to be out of the office a lot and still recording a lot of billable time, or at least trying to. And you may not get to actually recording those entries until maybe the end of the day, or in some horrible cases, the end of the week. So one thing we have for you is the multiple time entry button right here inside the time entries tab. So I'm going to right click this and open it in another tab. And on this page, this is when you want to go ahead and upload many time entries at the same time. So these are things that have already been done. You can set the defaults for the new time entries you're going to add to this list. So I'm always going to pick myself. The item's going to change from time to time, but I did all this work, today. And I'm going to hit new time entry so that those items will automatically populate here. And I can go ahead and say each one, this was for 2 hours. This one was for 4 hours, a lot of time spent. And you can do actually up to 10 entries on this page at a time. So at the end, you can hit save, or if you have more than 10 to do, hit the little arrow to hit save and add more. But for right now, I'm just going to hit save to add these entries to this matter. And by the way, while you're on that page, you can select different contexts and matters to record the time for across different clients. So we have a little bit of billable work now, but we have one other way we can actually record time, and that's by using the timer here on the right sidebar. This timer you can hit play at any point and is actually tied to the timer up here. The coolest thing about this timer is that it's always going to be live across any amount of tabs. After we let it load for a second, you're going to see that recording happening in real time across any tabs here. And this time will not stop running until you personally come here and stop it. So theoretically, this is actually a great tool for you to be able to record your trips to the courthouse. So you can start the timer before you leave the office. You can log off of PracticePanther even if you wanted to and shut down your computer. Throw it in a lake even, it doesn't matter. This time is being tracked online. So you go to the court, you might even want to take a break for lunch, right? What you can then do, because we do have a Android and iPhone app, as you can see here, you can actually download the app, hop onto your phone, as long as you have any kind of internet connection, and jump into the app, and you'll see the timer still running. Let's say you're taking your lunch break, you can just simply hit the little pause button right here for lunch. Lunch is over, and resume playing that timer. Other cool thing about this is you can take notes live. These are live notes that if I go to another page over here, let's go to our contacts page, you'll see the notes saved live. So these notes are also saved live on this sidebar here as well. So it's really cool. You'll be able to go ahead and keep draft notes there as you're working. And the other thing you'll be able to do as well is hit start another timer. So you're not going to be able to record 2 time entries, with them both being live at the same time, because we can't record or track time for 2 different cases or 2 different activities at the same time. As you can see, as we play one, it'll stop the other. But this does let you work on maybe different tasks or be able to multitask and still be able to keep track of every little thing that you do as you work. And then anytime you're ready to, you can just hit save on the timer and select exactly which contact and matter this is for. So let's do David's times entries right there, live notes, and save. Another way a lot of people record time is based on individual tasks or events they have already listed in PracticePanther. So let's go ahead and create a task, let's say, and we're going to call this task check email and respond to client, let's say. And I'm going to have this due today, whatever, and hit save. All of your tasks and events and all your activities are going to show in the activities tab here, which you can sort to see exactly what type of activities you might want to see at that moment by using this filter. And when you hover over any activity, you're going to see the option here to log time or to mark that the time was already logged. So to put this in perspective, you can hit choose columns on the side here, so you can get a quick idea by hitting the time logged column and see exactly which activities have already logged time for them or not. This way you can track a time entry for every individual activity that touches the case. If I hit the log time button on this activity, it's going to pull in some information about that task here. If it's an event, it'll actually pull in the time frame for that event into the hours column for us as well. And I'll just say this took 45 minutes. I'm going to go down and hit save. Now, something very special happens when you record a time entry this way. If we go back to the activity, let's go ahead and refresh the page so we can see that time that gets logged update. Looking at the activity, we can see that 0.8 hours were logged. And if I wanted to see the exact time entry that was linked here, because I literally clicked on the log time button for that activity, I can then open the activity and see the time entries associated with it right here. So I can make sure that every single activity has a corresponding time entry with it, so you're never losing out on any unbilled penny ever again. Now, the logged button that I showed you a second ago, which I'll show you again, is more in terms of if you realized you did record a time entry separately, but you didn't connect the two. So I'm going to say we have a hearing. It's already completed, and let's say I already have a time entry logged. This won't let me create that link that we just did, but I can at least know that there was time logged and it was accounted for. Now, let's say you are just about finished with the case and you decide you want to give a big discount to all these time entries, or you wanted to take off some time or change the date, or there's some big difference that you need to make about many of these time entries in one shot. If you ever wanted to edit one time entry, it's very simple. You could always just hover over it and hit the edit button that you see right there to pop the time entry back open. And that's great. But let's say we have a bunch of time entries. We can actually check them off, whichever ones we want to change, hit the gear on the top, and we can change the status using these buttons here. We can delete all of them if needed, or we can actually edit multiple time entries at the same time. You can get ahead here by going ahead and picking which context matters. Maybe you want to change the assigned contact, the assigned matter for this time entry. Maybe you want to change the hours that was actually spent on all of these time entries, or even start a new timer. Change the hourly rate, and or change who billed for this time. You can do all of these changes in one shot if you need to, and just make sure you hit the I understand the results of this action, just the quick check to make sure you are sure of what you're doing. And when you hit save, it'll make all the appropriate changes. So just for example, let's go ahead and say I want to change my hourly rate here to $45 instead of what it's set to right now. So I'm going to turn these off here. I understand and save. So right now everything's at $50 rate, and boom, the three that I had selected are now $45 an hour in one shot. Now let's say it's the end of the month or every 2 weeks or whenever you guys decide to go ahead and invoice your clients, you want to bill for this time. So all you need to do whenever you're ready is open the matter and hit generate invoice just like this. Make sure, they should already be marked as yes, but make sure add time entries is marked as yes if you're billing for your time here. And you'll want to also pick a certain date range. Let's say you are on December 6th like we are now, and you realize I want to only bill for November right now. So you can still go ahead here, pick the last 30 days, the last month, whatever custom range you want to actually tell PracticePanther which time entries to include in this bill. But I want to include all of them, so I'm going to leave all time on for right now. This is the invoice construction page where you can make any last minute changes as needed throughout the invoice just by clicking in to these little fields here. Literally every field is changeable if needed. And as you go down, you'll see your overall balance. Scroll down some more and check your payment options as needed and hit save. Now, this is what the invoice will generally look like. You can have multiple themes for you to choose from as needed in your settings page. And here are all your time entries summarized right here for you with a summary here. This is an optional thing you can include for your invoices using the settings. I'll show you that in a bit. And down here, you even have the option of including timekeeper summaries and totals. So you can see per person that billed for time, what their average rate was for all of these time entries, what their total hours billed on this invoice was, and their total amount actually billed on this invoice in one convenient location, broken down by user. Now I'll quickly show you where we can actually go to set up all these cool features there. Just go into your settings page, and we're going to go to Invoice Options right here. We're going to scroll down and select Show More Options. This is where you're going to really get to handpick every field that you want to include on your invoices or not. And as you go down, you're going to see a section marked Time Entries right here. You can handpick exactly which columns you want to include on your invoices and even what you want the text to say. So if you want it to say hours or time or anything at all, you can go ahead and have that flexibility right here. If you want to show who billed for each individual time entry, right there. If you want it to be broken down by initials or instead of full name, up to you. And right here's the summary for the time entry section in itself and the summary broken down by user right here. And whenever you're ready and satisfied, just scroll all the way to the bottom and hit save. Those changes affect all invoices live, by the way, so you'll be able to see those changes reflected in your invoices immediately. Just go open that invoice and refresh the page. So we've talked a lot about the different options you have with time entries and how to build for them. Now we're going to go quickly over how to actually get some reporting done. So you can get a quick bird's eye view of your personal hours on your dashboard right here. You can see your hours today, this week, this month, and so far this year. And you can even go over to More and go to Reports right here. In this page, we can go down to time entries, and we have a number of reports that you can get here. You can break down your time entries by matter, by individual user. That seems to be one of the more popular ones that I've talked to a number of clients about. You can see all of them broken down here by choosing group by user, or even pick the individual if you want more of an individual report instead. You can choose the status. You can see only the billable work that's waiting to be billed, what has been billed, etc. Even use contact or matter tags that you might have used to organize and categorize your clients and matters to sort through only the certain types of time entries for maybe certain types of cases that you want to see. And of course, what date range you want to actually pull this time from. Whenever you're satisfied with this report and on any list of time entries anywhere else in the software, you'll always have the Choose Columns button to decide what types of information you want to see for these time entries. And you can go ahead and export it to Excel or PDF by clicking on these buttons right here. Just to give you an example, I'm going through the export to PDF, which kind of gives you a quick snapshot of what's going on in this report. Let's give us a quick second here. It should come up. And there it is. Quick summary of some things happening over the last 7 days. These are all the time entries that we actually just made right there for you. All right, so that just about covers everything and anything I can think of with time entries here on PracticePanther. If you have any other questions, or any questions at all rather, you can always check out the Help Center up here by hitting the question mark anytime. We have tons of articles and videos about pretty much all of our features right there for you. And if you need any additional assistance, you can always reach out to our support team anytime down here in the bottom right. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.